Hey guys, it's Matt and Em from 8-Bit Family here, and
Atari from 8-Bit
and
Family.
theme park Nomads.
Butcher.
Wagwan.
And together we form
8-Bit Nomads. Okay, do it again. 8-Bit Nomads.
8-Bit Nomads. Megazord assemble.
Oh, that was rubbish.
Yeah. so yeah. What have we just
Where
been?
have we been today?
We have been to Blackpool Vampire Pleasure Beach. And after that, it's their first ever proper Halloween event with scare mazes and what have you, which is Journey to Hell Freak Nights. And now we're going to give a no holds barred kind of. We'll try our best not to do a spoiler review.
There are gonna be some spoilers.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Spoiler
inadvertent
warning in
spoilers. Spoiler warning, ding, 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 ding on the screen now. I think it's fair to say that it's been quite divisive, to say the least. The Freak Nights Halloween event here at Blackpool Pleasure Beach. I can't say we could give the most favourable review potentially, but we're going to try and be as constructive as we can.
Yeah.
I think the biggest problem, the overarching problem, before you even get in, is probably it's not very organised. Really.
Yes, 100%. Yeah.
Just to start as well, we don't want to be overly negative about it.
Yes,
Like we didn't have. That's what. It's hard not to be negative, but we'll try.
Yeah.
We'll try.
Especially when
That's what we're saying.
especially when certain people within like the theme park world have already been posting so many negative things about it. It's hard not to go in with that kind of niggling doubt in your head.
We absolutely understand that it is not any one particular spot. We do not want to like bash the staff or the scare actors, especially because it's the first one they've ever done.
Yeah.
And we do want to be mindful of that.
It's we'll call it teething problems with it being the first year.
Okay.
But I think even evident to when we even rocked up, there was no signage to say where to go. There was no one directing anyone where to go. It's lucky that you knew where you were going, Holly, because we were just kind of wandering around for a bit to find the entrance.
I'd say even going towards basically it's the actual opening to it is actually in the sort of the casino that's literally right next to the entrance of the park. You go in, and I just didn't really feel like I was going into the entrance of a Halloween event.
No.
There was no spooky music. There was no theming.
I felt like I was checking into a hotel.
Yeah.
There was some red lights. I think that was it.
And a pumpkin.
And
And a girl with cat ears on.
Yeah.
The girl with cat.
Then a guy in a gilet came out and said, "Come this way," so we all walked that way.
Yeah, and he wasn't even themed. He just said that he had Ambassador at the back of his back. And, so obviously you get. This is not any spoiler. This is just the logistics in the beginning. So there's nothing really to spoil. So you get followed and you get sort of sectioned off into different colours. We were Team Orange.
Team Orange.
We were the first team.
Yeah.
We were the first team to go through.
I've still got the wristbands on.
Yeah.
I took mine off because I'm really fiddly. And there's Team Green, Team Blue. I don't know. I've forgotten the colours,
Yellow
but
as well.
and basically you do get sectioned off, and you have to watch the TVs, which are sort of just above where the box office is, where you normally buy your tickets. Problem is, it's sort of like a general brief and just a general health and safety of the do's and don'ts. Don't touch the actors, don't film inside the mazes, yada yada yada, all that kind of stuff. They themed it behind a sort of army, sort of maybe
induction.
Like a military. Like when. In like sitcoms, you have the intro video for when you start a new job, and it's it was like that, but military themed.
Very cheesy.
And the volume was very quiet. So luckily we were right next to it, so we could kind of hear, but still. Struggled.
The fact that we were right next to it though, and we still couldn't hear properly.
Yeah, so couldn't hear it at all really, and obviously that was just a general overview of the entire narrative story that sort of links all the mazes together.
Yeah.
And couldn't quite get it. So that wasn't the best, but okay, we were in high hopes still.
Yeah.
And then we were brought into what is basically sort of like a quarantine, a pre-quarantine bit.
We were brought outside.
Outside,
It was out of the casino ticket. Basically it was a ticket sales area where you normally go in, buy tickets for the Pleasure Beach. You came out of there. You didn't go into the entrance of the Pleasure Beach. You went to the right by the arcade.
Yeah.
and then we were stopped there in our team orange, and then I can't remember what the lady said. I can't remember what she said.
She was like, "You're about to enter the safe zone.
Yeah.
However, there is a contamination, and we need
from
to
the outside. We need to like
decontaminate you." And then they sprayed us with a water gun.
It was
I mean,
cold.
it's the middle of October.
It's
not the middle of October. It's the end of October. It was
we
freezing.
had a freakishly nice day today.
Yeah.
And even considering that, we were frozen.
Yeah, it was really
it was
cold.
so cold.
I was saying to you, it should have been like hypothermia their experience, because they literally sprayed everyone with water, and then, as we're going to mention in a second, they were like, stand here for 25 minutes and wait for something to happen.
Also, I just didn't like the lady. She was meant to be like bossy military, leadery person, and I absolutely get what she was going for. But I feel like she just came across as abrasive and rude rather than authoritative.
She dropped an F-bomb quite early on.
Yeah, dropped an F-bomb quite early.
Yeah, it was proper like...
So much swearing. Unnecessary swearing as well.
Like nothing, I don't have an issue with swearing, but
I was going to say as well, sorry to cut you off there, but on the way back in the car, I was reading the website, and it was a 12 plus event, not a 16 plus event. Like, I would be mortified if I was a parent and I took my 12-year-old child to that kind of thing. And they were dropping them left, right and centre.
Yeah.
I'm quite desensitised to it, and I don't mind people swearing.
They were dropping F-bombs, I don't mind they had S-bomb, but like, you know, it was just constant, wasn't it?
It felt unnecessary. It felt like they were told they were allowed to swear, and they were like, ooh, we're going to see how many swears we can do.
Yeah,
So we went through that bit, and then we went over to where the fountains are, where they have the fountain show.
The safe zone.
The safe zone. So as we were group orange, we were stood there, and then this lady was basically, it was the most awkward banter, filler
Forced
time.
Forced
banter.
And like, and what did she say? She said,
it says like,
who do you know? Who do you know in this group? So like, it's a group of like 20 people.
Yeah,
like,
how are we supposed to answer to that?
Who really knows everyone? Something like that. I don't know. It was just random, and everyone was like deadly silent.
And then
and then we had to basically turn to the right and say hello to them. We were still at the back, and there was no one to my right, and then like Ben was to my left. Yeah, but then
like that's it. You're gonna stand with people you know anyway.
Yeah.
So what,
and I mean, like, even at that, I was like, right, okay, they're trying to fill a bit of space.
Yeah.
We're going to get onto the good stuff now.
Yeah, we'll play along.
Can we just point out the absolutely amazing thing that happened? I thought this was part of the actual theming. They were all military. I heard a in the background. And I thought, oh God, something big's going to happen. They're pulling up to something. And you just see... I saw like a mini dune buggy sort of driving into the area we're in. That's, oh my God, it's as you said,
like Mad Max kind of vibe.
Mad Max sort of like, you know, dystopian future dune buggy kind of vibe. It wasn't. It was just
Groundskeeper Willie.
It was just a maintenance guy just driving around. You would have thought he would have chosen something a bit more inconspicuous, maybe just something a bit more silent. I couldn't even hear him. I couldn't hear the actor in front of me because I was drawing all the attention to her. I was like, I was looking at that. I was expecting an actor all dressed up to get out. It was just someone with maintenance written on their back. It doesn't make... Why? Why did you choose those vehicles?
That was unintentionally hilarious.
It was very funny.
So funny.
It was so funny. But like at this point, there was more and more groups joining us, and we were kind of like, we were in big groups anyway. There was about 40 of us, and I was like, this is a big group. Like trying to get all 40 of us around some scare mazes. And by the time, I don't know why they put us in orange, blue, yellow, and green at the start of it, because we were still in the courtyard by the fountains at this point, and all 4 groups came and joined us there. And there must have been 120, 160, 120 to 150 people easily there. There was a bit of a preamble where we met the mayor of the safe zone, who was just the most boring character.
Yeah, this is where the actual general narrative really got really convoluted.
So we won't give too much away about the narrative of it.
Yeah.
But all we'll say is that bad acting then happened, which took, I don't blame everyone, but it took me completely out of the experience.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Like, up to that point, I was like, we'll give it a chance, so we'll find out a bit more about the story. Then what happened over the next 10 minutes, I was just like, I have no clue what's going on still.
Yeah.
What just happened
like
was pantomime.
Cringy, like banter between actors.
So cringy.
Just, okay, I'm not giving away anything here, but there is a part where someone sneaks behind someone and obviously has bad intentions, and it did go very panto.
Yeah.
I actually screamed out, "He's behind you!" And oh, come on, man.
Yeah. So after that part, I think we're all kind of a bit like...
Very
what the hell is going on?
Apprehensive is a good word.
Yeah.
Confused is another word.
Bemused.
And then
So we went back into our original coloured teams then.
After being thrown on the ground.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, they made everyone kneel down. But like I've noticed some people who weren't like kneeling low enough were getting like pushed down. And again, like some of you may or may not know that like I've had surgery on my knee, and if anyone did that to me, I'd be quite angry.
Yeah. But yeah, after that we got put back in the orange group, and we set about on our adventure.
We were the information gatherers.
Oh yeah.
I mean, they probably told that to
I
everyone.
forgot about that.
Yeah.
Am I an information gatherer? I don't care.
Hang on, but actually no, because when we actually first arrived and spoke to the engineer, we were the communications team.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah. Ah, plot hole. Right.
Oh, it's ruined the whole thing.
So I've got all the actual names of all the stuff we went to.
Okay.
Perfect. Okay.
So okay. So the first actual, it's not really amazing. It's more of an experience maybe.
Oh, it was.
I'm not gonna I don't want to give actually too much away. But what do you think? Okay, we've got
remember what
Hellraisers, Hazard Area, Devil Warrior.
I don't know if any of them. I couldn't tell you what any
That
of them.
just kind of shows how that first maze kind of, well, it wasn't a maze, was it? Experience was. Again, we won't spoil too much, but
Yeah, but
struggled.
It was.
Keeping up to. It was a struggle keeping in line with what the storyline actually was.
Yeah.
What was the story? We're sat here now.
Still
I don't know if anyone else has been to this event and can explain.
You could just comment
this
below.
story,
Yeah.
please, because we were just baffled.
Basically, if anyone understands, the storyline to Kingdom Hearts, then you'd understand the absolute narrative of this of what happened tonight. That's the best way to put it. If you understand how Kingdom Hearts works, that's it. So obviously there's an experience part. Which didn't scare me at all, really.
I was just confused.
You have to basically hide your head, so you just turn to a wall, and then they kind of come around and they kind of just like do
Play Duck Duck Goose with
Yeah.
Yeah.
I had my coat on. All I got was someone pulled my hood like that, and I just felt like a little. It was the strangest thing ever.
What was after that? Do you think was it the Doctor?
I presume that was the Doctor.
Oh yeah,
he was the doctor figure, wasn't he?
Okay, so what was after that then?
But I kind of actually one thing I do want to say about the first experience, and it kind of goes with the lack of organisation. The way that attraction ended could have potentially been dangerous.
Yeah.
And I am very concerned with health and safety when I go to theme parks or any of these attractions. I'm a bit of a worrier, and literally when that attraction ended, they were like, right, everyone run, everyone get out of this room now. And there were people full on clambering over each other and pushing each other out the way to get out of this tiny room. You said at one point there was a giant table in the way, a prop table that was just blocking people's exits, and people were like pushing each other into that. And it was just carnage, absolute carnage. And
so there wasn't a good first impression again for it.
What was after that? I've forgotten.
That was
the hoodening.
Their version of
that was the Doctor. That was the classic sort of 18th century Doctors, wasn't it? So there's a part where they put hoods on you. I think.
So we walked down to avalanches.
Yeah, and we got
in that
ambushed.
Yeah, we got ambushed.
Yeah.
But again, don't want to ruin too much, even though, if you guys want to go. But it was so badly organised. What happened to you two?
So obviously in these kind of experiences where they put a hood over your head and they get you to hold the person's shoulder in front of you, the people who were organising it, the people in the Plague Doctor's mask, had put someone's hand onto my right shoulder. So I was assuming I was going to put my hand on someone's shoulder in front. But in respect, they'd turned M face forward towards me, and were expecting us to put our hands on each other like this. And then they were like, walk, and we were like, where? We're just going to kind of like be holding on to each other like this. And
Again,
it got to the point where I'd say half of the people in our group took the hoods off and were just like, we're not doing this.
It was
We're not doing
another
this.
big health and safety thing where if you're going to do this where you are impairing people's vision, you need to communicate to people that you do need to do the hands on the shoulder single file thing, because it was
carnage.
I love that pure fact that no one was really scared of the scare actors, because they just put their heads up and loads of people just sort of say, they were like, put your hood down, and some people I don't want to.
I mean, the fact that when they were like handing out the hoods, Harley was like, oh, thank you.
Yeah.
Rather than like scared to your wits, you were just like, oh, thank you.
The same with the hoods. Obviously, we did the hooding in at Scare Kingdom the other week where you couldn't see anything through those. You could see right through these hoods.
It's see-through. It was like cheap, like pillow fabric.
But one only good thing about that was that the costume. I really like the costumes.
Oh, the costumes
they
are quite good.
To be fair.
They did look really, really good. I think that was the best part. But then I don't know whether they were told not to speak to us or like keep communication to a minimum.
Yeah.
But I feel like that shouldn't have been that way. Because I had a hood over my head. There's no one around me, and I was pretty sure that the bit that we're walking down on, there was a bench to my right.
Yeah.
And I was worried I'm going to storm across and stumble over this bench. I took my hood off for most of it, and that took me out of it completely. So that was just a shambles again. So I think we'd had a bit of a hard start to it.
Yeah. Next was the ride of the night.
Oh, but before that though, when we're given our props for the ride. At the hoodening, they at one point we kind of all stopped. People who didn't have their hoods off at this point, their hoods were taken off quite forcefully. And then I know it's not gonna be a problem for everyone. But I've got a couple of nose piercings and it pulled on my nose and it really hurt.
You pulled my glasses.
Yeah.
But essentially the hoods were removed and we were meant to be given a
blindfold.
A blindfold.
On the island. However, basically something you could sleep with.
Yeah. However, half the people in the group were completely missed out and we were escorted down to Icon, which was the ride we were doing in the dark. And it got to the point where we were queuing for Icon and they were saying essentially, you can't ride this ride unless you've got a mask.
It was like a scare actor in the queue with like a megaphone, weren't you? Just like, back row, put your mask on.
Put your masks on.
It just seemed so out of place. It was just a nun with a it was just
with a megaphone.
What was a nun doing with a megaphone? I said, don't get me wrong, it was fun. It was Icon.
But I think you said it, Matt. Why are we doing a blindfolded ride of Icon in the dark?
Yeah.
That kind of what's the point of it? It was fun. It was a brand new experience doing it with the blindfold on. I enjoyed it, but I just feel like it took away from what I would have enjoyed on the ride in the dark, was how good Icon looks at night.
Yeah.
So I think that kind of.
I do get what you mean. However, I was frustrated at this point, I'd say.
you were mean
and I felt sorry for this poor woman who was one of the ride operators because I had my my blindfold in my hand. And I was like, do you know what? I'm not doing this. You can stuff your blindfold, essentially. And she just said to me, she was like, trust me, keep the blindfold, wear it on the ride. And I was like, well, have you done it like this? And she was like, I've not, no, but I've heard it's really good. So I tried it, and honestly, I'm so glad I put that blindfold on because that roller coaster when you can't see nothing, crazy. I mean, today was the first time for me riding Icon today anyway, but that adds just a whole new level of immersion. And it's like, you were saying like no one was screaming on that apart from me.
It was so strange. Like I didn't want to go on this, so I just moved and waited for everyone. But the ride, the what's the word, like the train carriage before these guys, it was really surreal to watch because no one was screaming. It was just a silent ride. It was so strange. Like that was quite eerie actually watching that.
That was quite fun.
But Icon was phenomenal at night.
So that definitely changed the mood.
Yeah.
It lifted the energy. People were like refreshed and
So a heightened sense of
Where did we go then?
So then we went back up to the stairs. We went to the
cult.
The clowns.
The clowns.
Yeah, clowns.
What was the sort of Chinese maze, but they converted that. And I think this is where sort of things took a step up, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And as well, it's a good time to shout out to our kind of What were their roles?
Sergeant Major character.
They were good. So while we were waiting to go into that, they were keeping us all entertained. Very comical. So shout out to them. They were doing their job really, really
Yeah,
well.
Best bit
Go on.
was when there was the guy in our group who was smoking and they were trying to get people in the clown maze. And he was like, I've still got a fag. He was like, it's alright, I'll put it out for you. He just took it and started smoking it. And he had two at one point, just like absolutely biffing on these cigarettes. And this guy's like, I thought you were going to bin it, mate. I couldn't finish it. He was like, nah, you go with the clowns. And,
that was good.
He was really
really good.
Yeah. So then the clown maze was good. It was really good. Even though you got called.
I got called fat. God knows.
We all got called fat.
Yeah.
Yeah, we all got called fat.
Yeah.
So many fatties today.
Yeah.
All I'm going to say, it was good. It didn't blow me away. It was good.
Yeah, I'd agree with that.
Didn't get scared at any point during it.
Like just to like put this in perspective, clowns are like the one thing that proper give me the heebie-jeebies. I really don't like them. And at this point, I had like a combination of like and like weird angry energy that I marched into the front of our group to lead us through the clown maze, and I just didn't care at this point, which is how like unscared I was.
The biggest scare we got from that was me scaring Matt.
Oh, that was terrifying.
That was the biggest scare throughout that whole maze.
Probably throughout the entire night, actually. But we're going back to the thing again. The clown thing's so disjointed from the theme. Like they were like, oh, it's linked in with hell because they're a cult, and it's like, right, well, I can understand that, and I'm like, well, what is it? They're a cult who worship the Laughing Man, which is obviously one of the icons of.
Well, yeah, you know, everyone knows
Beach.
what. If you know Blackpool Pleasure Beach well, you know what the Laughing Man is. That is just the crazy demonic mechanical clown, which is terrifying. Obviously, that's some kind of a cult for it. But yeah, it didn't really sit well.
So disjointed.
Like, the idea, we were told we had to go through there because they needed supplies, which were there.
Oh yeah, but then we're never told to collect anything.
Yeah,
look out for anything.
I thought it was going to be like a scavenger hunt. I thought that was a
Yeah.
really cool idea. Like we had to bring something back with us, but that wasn't implemented.
So the clown maze, okay.
All right, yeah,
It was
it was
okay.
a step up, but you know the bar was so spectacularly low anyway
Right,
at that
so
point.
What was after that?
Tunnels.
Tunnels. You know what? I really enjoyed the tunnels. I love the tunnels.
It was just a bit of a walk from one side of the park. We did a lot of walking tonight, didn't we?
Oh man, yeah,
A lot
guys,
of walking.
be prepared to do a lot of marching
So
around.
at this point we came out of the maze, kind of behind the food area before
Near
we get to
Revolution,
Nickelodeon
wasn't
Land.
it?
Yeah. And then we walked all the way up towards St Gromit, and then down towards River Caves, and then down those toilets down there underneath the stairs, and we went underneath there. So it's a hell of a walk to get around.
Yeah.
And then it was good though. I mean, you led it for a bit, then I led it for a bit, and it was good. It was kind of like you'd go from one area and then another scare actor would come and lead you to another area. But then I just found that the areas that were in that park, they were just a bit all over the place.
Disjointed again. So it started off with the underground tunnels bit with the builder, and then we ended up in that uncle's house.
Right,
Yeah.
The hillbilly.
It was it? I don't know. I'm not too sure. They didn't really fully transcribe who Uncle was.
Yeah.
As like, go to Uncle. Who's Uncle? And they sort of they lead you into a room, and to be honest, it looked just like a crack den in Manchester. That's the best way to put it. And it smelled like not that I've been to a crack den in Manchester, but
It smelled horrible.
yeah, it smelled horrible.
Good smell positive in that one though.
Oh, that really stank.
And and
Then there was a guy with a mask on that had like hitting a chain against like a metal.
Oh, the Satan. The
Yeah,
Satanists.
suddenly Satanists.
yeah, they all just ran the worst Satanists for some reason.
And then
and then we went
It was
into.
Daddy. Who was Daddy?
We went in-
Daddy at some point.
Yeah.
We went into this is who I'm going to. We went on into the slaughterhouse room where shout out to my man Kurt Walsh for stuffing marshmallows down this guy's throat.
Thank you for fingering my mouth. Yeah.
And he was pretty good, Kurt.
yeah,
Yeah, he was in character.
Oh, they didn't have any trousers on. I didn't notice.
No, I noticed that.
He was
He was
I was
like-
like, that guy's in his boxes.
But going back to the caliber of actors, like obviously knowing Kurt, he is a trained horror actor, and you could tell the difference between him and various other members of the staff. Like he proper hammed it up, and he proper made you feel uncomfortable, like when he was making you like smell his fingers and like wiping his fingers on your face and stuff. So yeah, thank you very much, Kurt, for that really rather
Disturbing.
and grotesque moment
And
we shared
thank you
tonight.
for the third time pointing out my weight. I was like, you pointed me out. It's like, oh, he's evidently malnourished. Ha ha ha, yes, I get it. Fat arse, I get it. I don't need to finger my mouth. Give me a marshmallow. Gonna get diabetes anyway. So yeah, I really enjoyed the talk. It was not, as I said, there's no real jump scares in it.
No.
I just treated it as a really decent atmospheric part.
Yeah.
And I saw a part of Blackpool Pleasure Beach which I thought I'd never seen.
Yeah.
That was alright. That was pretty decent. I just never knew that there was the Catacombs of Blackpool Pleasure Beach I'd never
Well,
seen.
that was something cool for the night overall. Was seeing the park empty,
Oh yeah.
dark,
Quiet.
Yeah.
So that
Like
was
walking through
fun.
Nickelodeon Land where nothing's lit up. Nothing.
Quite creepy actually.
That was
Yeah.
unintentionally quite creepy.
Yeah.
So that was a maybe not an intentional benefit, but I think I definitely enjoyed that part of it. So that was all of them really, wasn't it?
Yeah.
It was.
So
Well-
from that, we were walking.
I know it was
to
the S&M Arena.
And
Oh,
The arena.
this was the weirdest part of the whole night for me, I think. So we were led to the entrance, well exit, of Blackpool Pleasure Beach, where the kind of the barriers are where you go in and out. But in that area was just these poor women in latex
Latex.
bras.
Little like tight sort of clubbing dress
Yeah.
type things.
But it
Nothing
was just,
too scandalous.
No.
Yeah, like all their bits and bobs were covered.
To say
Yeah.
it was an 18+ event, and then they were like, there will be BDSM and there will be latex,
Latex and sexual
there will be
content.
safe words, and
Yeah.
it was like, well, they've just come out of like Birdcage in Manchester. These
Yeah,
girls.
and they looked very disinterested.
Those I
Oh,
don't
they
like
look
them.
so
They
bored.
looked cold
Yeah.
and awkward. But there wasn't like, I mean, there was music, but it wasn't like music for them. It was just happened to.
But that
be
was
on
Circus
it.
of Horrors in the background, sound checking, yeah.
I love the pure fact that there was like a member of the team there. I think he was security.
Scary card, yeah.
And he was just sort of standing there. I was like, he was just staring at them, just being a creep.
having
I was just like
fun,
licking
yeah.
his lips and like rubbing his legs. Like, oh yes.
Because
that's like
I can't believe you're getting
Yeah,
paid for
like
this.
I think it was Holly who said they are literally just plopped
Eye
there for eye
candy,
candy.
yeah.
And like they weren't like, because I was thinking if they had like gore on them, if they were like hot zombie
Yeah.
babes or something, that made more sense. But it was literally just
They weren't amused with it
here are some
at
boobs.
all.
No, the poor. I'm so sorry. Like shout out to you,
Yeah.
poor,
Yeah.
poor women.
Feel sorry for you.
Freezing.
Yeah, because it was a cold
Yeah,
night.
and there was some right by the open door, and
Yeah.
it wasn't like that we were there to interact with them in any way.
They just
were,
stood there.
Yeah, they were there. They were there to kind of entertain us as we were leaving.
But they didn't
Yeah.
really entertain us.
No,
They,
Well-
they had like some paddles that kind of like they were slapping in their hands.
Yeah.
There was one on the floor at one point.
Yeah.
There was a
Yeah.
rack of
She just
other
died of the
adult
cold, that one.
toys.
That's what it was.
Yeah, I felt
Again,
awkward.
not coherent with anything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, it just made no sense. It was just plopped in at
Yeah.
the end.
However, it did lead on to arguably
The
best bit of the
Shout
night.
out to Lantern Man.
Lantern
Yeah.
Lantern Man, our boy.
Oh, he was amazing.
Someone give Lantern Man a pay rise.
Yeah.
'Cause that guy deserves it. No more presentless Christmas for you, mate.
Yeah,
Come on.
just. Oh, thing is though, there was. If you guys must know Pastel's Dolterra. It's been there for over 20 years, just before the entrance, before you get into Blackpool Pleasure Beach, and there was a guy dressed up with a lantern, sort of like what
Victorian style.
Victorian sort
Yeah.
of weird sort of
Dr. Fostery.
yeah. And he was.
Say the Q, weren't he?
And his improv was amazing.
Yeah.
Incredible.
He was hilarious. He
Had me
was
in
so
stitches.
funny.
Yeah.
And he had that nice balance between like a bit creepy and a bit weird, but like
Hilarious.
Yeah.
you could
And approachable in a way.
yeah, no, genuinely,
Yeah.
you could properly like have banter with him and chat, and he made all of us like howl with
Yeah.
laughter. He was so good.
Thing is, though, he was gravitating towards us because everyone else would be boring.
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
really nice to him.
But I think going back to what I was saying before, you can 100% tell the difference in prestige between the professional scare actors, going back to Kurt Walsh, who was in the tunnels, and the people in Passage. You can 100% tell the difference between those calibre of scare actors and they must have just been Blackpool Pleasure Beach employees that were just like told to dress up.
I don't know. Some of them were, some of them weren't. I get the feeling some of them were the ones that were just sort of in between the mazes,
Yeah.
but maybe some of the ones that actually were in the mazes were trained.
Yeah.
Can I say as well before we go on to Pashas Dotara, because it's not really a Blackpool scare maze.
Yeah.
My biggest thing let down, I guess, about tonight was the fact that in our teams we'd have our sergeants who were in like army combat gear, but then we'd also have with us about 2 security guys who were just in black security clothes, and they were constantly talking on the radio like, orange team is now at the circus maze, and it just took me completely out of it, and it ruined it completely for me, because I was just kind of like, what, I know what they're doing and it's fine, it's health and safety, they need to be there for a reason, but at one point we were walking out of the Doctor Sleep, we're walking out of there, there's just 2 of them sat on the stairs having a laugh and a conversation. It was just kind of like, it just completely took me out of it.
There was a proper lack of attention to detail tonight, I think, and that was definitely a big part of it.
Always
And that's what I
the finest
noticed
details
between
which
like
makes
that
the
and
difference.
like Scare Kingdom. At Scare Kingdom, you are kind of left to go to the mazes yourself, but if there were people, they'd be dressed as characters.
Always in character, never dropping that character for a second.
And they'd help you if you needed, though.
Yeah.
So I feel like that's something that I think if they are going to do this next year, Blackpool need to kind of go back and look at that, because it took me completely out of it, and I didn't end up liking
that.
that at all. It just really ruined it.
But Passage though.
Passage.
What an amazing way to
I
end
think,
the night
I
off.
think it's fair we could talk about this. Everyone knows about Passage.
Yeah.
It's pop culture.
Pop culture references to horror references.
Yeah.
And they knew what they were doing.
So good.
Of course, I was the one that had to lead them. I don't want to talk about the entire thing, but I think one thing that really stood out for me, the entire night was just this one Mike Myers scene.
Oh, the Mike Myers room. Oh my god. Oh.
Scary.
Yeah.
Just so good. But even the attention to detail, the costumes, the sound effects, the
old smell pods.
the smell pods.
Every single room had a
everything.
very clear theme.
Yeah.
It was very well decorated and cohesive.
Yeah.
And it was amazing.
So many jump scares as well.
Yeah.
So many jump scares.
Considering we had none for the past 2 hours.
Yeah.
I think we had,
we
one
got
in
our
each
2
room.
One in
hours
each room.
worth, didn't
Yeah.
we, in that one section.
And like we were saying, I think it's unfair to judge Passage, like to kind of lump it together with the rest of the experience, because in my opinion, if it wasn't for Passage, then Blackpool Pleasure Beach would be in big trouble with this event. Big trouble with this event.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, like...
Yeah, we really wanted
We
to
really
like
wanted
it.
to.
We
Yeah.
did not go in with the attitude of we're going to pick it apart.
I mean, if you really do think about it, if you actually just take out the actual horror event just on its own, actually take out Icon as well, because Icon was already there and Passage Hotel was already there. If you actually take a look what was original, it hasn't really blown me away.
No.
Which is sad, because I feel like loads of people wanted Blackpool to do something, and they did it, which we're thankful for.
Yeah.
But at the same time, and I just feel like some
At
of
the
it
same time,
wasn't
we paid
really
30 quid for it.
thought through. Yeah.
Like-
It felt like there was a room of people who sat down and agreed that this is what they were going to do, but then it just no one was there like, whoa, what do you think, this is the right thing?
Yeah.
Like that.
There was like
at
no
the end.
editing, was
Yeah.
there? They had all the ideas and just kind
they
of
went
ran
with the
with it
first
all.
draft. We'll
Yeah.
do that one.
Yeah.
I mean, Blackpool Pleasure Beach, I mean, if you're watching this, if you're watching Ben and Holly's channel, probably not our channel as much, but if you're watching Ben and Holly's channel, you've undoubtedly seen all the reviews that are already online about this, and how other reviewers within the theme park industry and that kind of world have been picking this event to bits. I really fear for Blackpool Pleasure Beach and the fact that they've either got to pull it out of the park, pull it out of the bag next year and do something spectacular, or this could be the death of the event after the first year, unfortunately. Which is very sad.
It would be sad.
Very sad.
Very sad, I just on the odd chance that maybe Amanda Thompson's watching, we're not doing this just to be mean.
Can't
Just,
imagine Amanda Thompson watching Feedback Nomads.
you never know, good old Amanda Thompson. This is just take this as on criticism. Obviously, our word isn't completely gospel. Everything is subjective at the end of the day.
And that's it as well. Like we said this in the car. There was 4 groups of people, and we were team orange and we did the mazes in a certain order, I'd love to know if someone in a different colour team had a different experience. If doing them in a different order, how did that affect it for you?
100%.
And if that was different and better or worse. I think that is really important, and that's something that Blackpool should also take on board.
Yeah.
And then go from there, from that bit.
Yeah, I think going into next year, if Blackpool Pleasure Beach is to do this event again, scrap the storyline.
Yeah.
Scrap the overarching hellish military whatever the hell it was.
An amalgamation of just what they can throw.
Yeah, and open up the park. Literally, open up the park. Do it as like late night ride-ins.
Like, you know, they've got a license to stay open until 2 a.m.
Keep the rides open late, and just let people wander and do, because you had a good idea with the circus one. It was going in the right direction.
Yeah.
The tunnels were eerie. The tunnels were eerie. Not necessarily super scary, but they were eerie. Add 1 or 2 more mazes in there, and 2 actual proper scare zones rather than just the odd person going like
random
boo.
Character.
Yeah.
And I mean, you could be onto something there, because really, in my personal opinion, Icon and Passage del Terra saved it from being catastrophic, I think.
And Icon did.
Or what they could do is they could utilise the fact that they're on a beach, a pleasure beach, because that's what makes them different to the other parks in the UK. So maybe incorporate that into the story and somehow, instead of just going off this random story that you could do anywhere.
Yeah.
You know, like try and make it a bit more personable to that park.
Well, you were next to the sea, try and make it a nautical theme.
That'd be wicked. Get some pirates all up
I
in
love
there.
pirates.
I know you do.
Love pirates.
So why don't we all do our pro and con of tonight?
A pro and con each.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Alright, I'll start. Pro, riding Icon with the blindfold on. I was super glad that I did that, and I don't know if you're going to be watching this, lady who was the ride attendant for Icon. Thank you very much for talking me into putting that blindfold on, because I think I would have seriously kicked myself if I would have come off that ride and not put the blindfold on. It's an entirely different experience, and if you want to ride a really thrilling ride in the pitch black, I wouldn't recommend paying 30 quid to do it.
Well, maybe bring your own blindfold.
Bring your own blindfold. bring your own blindfold with you and do it. And then when people look at you funny, just be like, yeah,
Just
that Matt
trust me.
Seddon on YouTube said it was wicked. Con, for me, organisation. At points feeling unsafe because of the whole people running and clambering, and the hoodening issue where people were just because of the organisation, points just felt like it could be a health and safety nightmare. I think that's the main con for me on this one.
Okay, a pro.
A good
Oh
feeling.
wow.
Our sergeant person was really
Yeah.
funny,
Yeah.
and he kept the spirits up, and like I think he could tell that people were a bit unimpressed, but he like tried his best to get everyone talking and laughing again. So he was a really nice touch, actually. So thank you very much. A con. I mean, the clown maze didn't scare me, guys. Come on, like.
Yeah. Especially when it's like one of the biggest phobias out
It's in
there.
the Scare King.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
saw me like vomit in my mouth when I saw one, and I was just like, "Yeah, I'll go at the front." Yeah. Holly?
Pro for me.
It's not good, that is it? When everyone's like.
Oh, so cold.
I don't want to say Icon because I think Icon would
allowed
have
to
been really
say
good for
Icon,
me,
though.
but because I said before in the car again, me and Ben have ridden Icon like 20 times, so I kind of knew what was coming.
You're right.
I'm sorry, don't mind me. Don't mind me.
So that took it away from me. I wish I'd have done it like when Matt had only 2 rides in. I'm really struggling, and that's not a good thing at all. I do con first. My con was the people following around each group who were like security or information people. You really need to rethink that. Or, and this is, I'm gonna actually, I never complain. I really never do. But this is gonna go down. I'm gonna put this a bit of complaint. If you're gonna have the people doing that, reassess the people that you choose, because the people that were there, they were just having a laugh among themselves.
They didn't care,
really care. They were on the walkie-talkies going like, "Group Orange is now going up to the tunnel," and then that was it. And then I could hear them go, "Group Green is now going up to this one," and it was just, it completely took me out of it. that really, really ruined it for me. And it may seem like a small thing, but it had a bigger impact on the night.
But it was something that happened through the whole night.
Yeah,
though,
it
wasn't
started right
followed
from the
you
start.
round. Yeah.
And they are, if they are going to do that, don't have them in the pack. They were constantly within our pack with the sergeant people. Have them step out a bit and just kind of not make themselves as visible.
Yeah.
Because they were always there, and it really did ruin it for me, sadly. Yeah. Pro. I hate that I can't think of one. I really hate that I can't think of one.
Do you want us to come back to you?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. We'll come back to Holly.
Go on, Ben.
Okay, so I'd say the pro, for me, they really utilised the actual catacombs of under Blackpool Pleasure Beach, the actual tunnel part.
Okay.
I love that. I thought that was really, really good. Although I do think it was a bit of a mishmash of what the actual storyline was. I'm not too sure. Were they underground zombies? Were they Satanists?
The word of the night has been disjointed.
Yeah. But I think if you actually take a look at the actual whole tunnel section as not a scare maze, as just a scare, as a general experience, as a horror experience, then as a horror experience, it was really good. It was very immersive, smell pods in the right places. For the most part, obviously this is where the owner of Horror Crypt, what's his name again?
Kurt Walsh.
Yeah, that really shined. He fingered a marshmallow in my mouth. I didn't know that he could allow to do that, but hell, it doesn't matter. But no, the tunnels were really good. I'm going to say, in terms of my con, I think they didn't fully utilise the tools they had at their disposal. I don't understand why that they decided to use Icon as the only ride that they could choose, because I said this in the car, you've got stuff like Alice in Wonderland, you've got UV there, you could have easily had maybe clowns or some kind of actors maybe in UV paint just going around there, and it wouldn't have cost you a huge amount at all.
Yeah, put some people in the ghost trains.
Yeah, that'd be wicked.
Yeah.
People in the ghost train, or they did it with Jewel one time in Alton Towers. They actually had they got rid of the guns and stuff. They actually had scare actors in the actual ride itself. They could have easily have done that with the river caves, the ghost train, Alice in Wonderland.
Even Valhalla, get some undead Vikings all up in
Yeah, exactly.
You're very wet after a bit.
You could have done that. And I just feel like they completely missed out on a trick.
Yeah.
All the other cons everyone else has already mentioned. So I think that was the biggest con, that they really didn't fully utilise what they had at their disposal. Yeah.
If you thought you were
Did you think of a pro?
I have, and I'd hate to watch this video and hear someone say this is a pro.
Go
But
on.
my pro was Pasha's consort. No, my pro.
Yeah,
pro.
Yeah.
I'm very tired. My pro was Pasha's Del.
Pashas del Terra.
That wasn't my pro, and that's sad in the
Yeah.
fact that I'm having to choose that as it.
I mean, I guess it's good that was your pro in a way, because they do that, like,
all year
that's
round.
their job, isn't
But then
it?
that's not part of the Blackpool experience.
That's
really.
true.
So when I first think what I enjoyed most about tonight, that's what I think of.
Yeah, that's fine. It was very good.
It was very good.
Shout out to Lantern Man.
Lantern
Oh,
Man.
we love you, Lantern
Oh
Man.
boy, Lantern Man.
Embarrassing.
Every day I'm dabbing.
Oh man.
But yeah,
Dabbing.
I think to sum it up,
It's nearly bedtime, isn't it, guys?
I think to sum the evening up, you can tell it's the first year of this event. 100%. Everything from the organisation, to the costumes, to the acting.
We didn't mention random Hellraiser man and Devil Lady in boiler suits. That was very strange.
Oh, that was very strange.
Yeah.
There wasn't like a scare zone. We were just walking to another bit, and then there was just some guy with a pinhead mask on,
Yeah.
and some guy with a devil
devil.
mask.
Yeah, but
Kinda
this
like
was
they bought them from B&M.
this is like proper B&Ms, and like some of the
Yeah.
masks are sunken in.
Yeah.
As
Oh
well.
yeah, like the
Yeah.
latex was like caving in.
It was
and,
really bad.
Yeah, well,
yeah, that was just. And they weren't scary. They were just kind of.
that was just sort of like, well, it's that sort of bit of tacked on, really.
Yeah.
It wasn't a very intimidating demon either. What the demon looked about 5'6". It's like,
I
oh.
mean, if you're gonna use a shortest character, have them be all like impish and like
Yeah.
mischievous, but they just kind of stood there.
I really hope this event comes back in
Yeah.
2020, because I do love a good horror event, and I'm so glad that there's going to be more up here in the northwest, because obviously we got Scare Kingdom, we got Farmageddon, but I really want something else to sink my teeth into.
Yeah, we want this to sort the issues out, and we want this to come back next year and be better.
Yeah,
We
and
really do.
I'm so glad we went, because
Yeah.
despite it being pretty naff, it was still entertaining.
Yeah, we've got some good stories, haven't we, guys?
I mean, I was soaking wet, lying on the floor, while some woman was telling me to put a bag on my head. Like, what more do you want from Blackpool? I mean,
that's before we even got into the park.
Yeah.
That's in Wetherspoons.
Yeah. But yeah, hopefully it comes back next year, and hopefully they take on all the constructive criticism. What I would, obviously, people are going to watch this video, people are going to read reviews from other people within the theme park and industry and that kind of world, but I reckon just go and make your own opinion, even if you find it cheesy and corny. Just we had such an entertaining evening, and we're going to be talking about this for years to come, because it was something else. It was truly something else. It was. But yeah, we really hope this event comes back next year, and if it does, I'll give it another go.
Definitely.
I'll give it another go.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that sums up everything really. It has been a very long day, and it is getting quite late. We've been up since 8 o'clock this morning, and it's now 11 o'clock at night.
We've had longer days, but we've been busy. Yeah, and it's so cold.
So I think it's time to say goodbye to you lovely people. So we'll do our outro. So yeah, don't forget to hit that ding-a-ling-a-ling-dong bell and knock that subscribe button. We appreciate everything that you do over on the 8-Bit Family channel. Thank you for checking us out on a weekly basis, and thank you to the guys at Theme Park Nomads for the ultimate collaboration ever. Hashtag 8-Bit Nomads. That's the one.
Yeah. I'm going to say is subscribe more.
Yeah.
Joking. No, it's fine. Thank you for all that's watching from Theme Park Nomads, because Matt's going to be sending this video because he saw the GoPro just run out of SD card memory. So, yeah, guys, thanks for watching. Please subscribe and just ring my bell, please. And yeah, always remember to let yourself be stupid, because you're not stupid for being stupid. Bye.